The plane was breaking into pieces. The wings were bending. Metal was making terrible sounds. Passengers were praying for their lives. The captain took the microphone and shouted something no one expected. "Is there a fighter pilot on board?" In the scary silence after that, a small woman closed her book. She had been invisible. Until now. Before you watch full story, comment below from which country are you watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more amazing stories. Thursday evening. November 21st, 2024. Tokyo Narita International Airport. Gate 53. You are boarding All Nippon Airways Flight 107 to Los Angeles. It is 5:32 p.m. The Boeing 787 Dreamliner is beautiful. Sleek, modern, quiet. You have heard the 787 is one of the most advanced aircraft ever built. Completely computerized. Fly-by-wire. Safe as they come. Your seat is 18C. Middle seat. Not ideal for an 11-hour flight across the Pacific Ocean. The cabin is filling up. 287 passengers total. Business travelers in suits checking their phones. Families with small children already looking tired. Students with backpacks and headphones. Tourists with cameras and guidebooks. Everyone settling in for the long journey ahead. You settle into your seat. The middle seat is always uncomfortable. You cannot lean against the window. You cannot stretch into the aisle. You are stuck between two strangers for 11 hours. You pull out your tablet. Download a movie you will probably fall asleep watching halfway through. 3 rows ahead, window seat 14A, a woman sits down. You barely notice her. Late 30s maybe. Petite. Maybe 5 feet 2 inches tall. Short dark hair cut in a practical, no-nonsense style. Wire-rimmed glasses that make her look like a librarian or a teacher. Gray cardigan over a plain white blouse. Black slacks. Simple black flats. She is carrying a small leather briefcase. The old-fashioned kind that doctors used to carry. Not a modern laptop bag. Not a designer purse. Just a worn brown leather briefcase that has seen better days. In her other hand, she carries a paperback book. The cover is in Japanese. You cannot read the title. She looks like a librarian. Or an accountant. Or a university professor. Someone who works with numbers or books. Someone quiet. Unremarkable. The kind of person who blends into any crowd. The kind of person you would forget 5 minutes after the flight ended. She settles into her seat by the window. Pulls out her book. Opens it to a bookmarked page. Starts reading. Does not make eye contact with anyone. Does not look around the cabin. Does not check her phone. Just reads. The businessman in seat 14B tries to make conversation. He is American. Maybe 40. Expensive suit. Rolex watch. He asks her where she is traveling. She responds politely but briefly. Los Angeles. 2 words. Then returns to her book. He tries again. Asks what she does for work. She says, consultant. 1 word. Returns to her book. He gets the message. Stops trying. Pulls out his own phone and starts checking emails. For the next 3 hours, the woman in 14A does not move except to decline meal service. The flight attendants come by with dinner trays. She shakes her head politely. No, thank you. Returns to her book. She does not get up to use the restroom. Does not stretch her legs. Does not look out the window at the ocean below. Just reads. Silent. Invisible. Completely unremarkable. You have no idea that woman is Lieutenant Colonel Akari Hayashi. You have no idea she flew F-15J fighters for the Japan Air Self-Defense Force for 16 years. You have no idea her call sign was silent, because she could fly intercept missions in complete radio silence and still execute perfect intercepts against hostile aircraft. You have no idea she has 2,200 flight hours in one of the most dangerous aircraft ever built. You have no idea she once landed a dying F-15J with no hydraulics, no flight controls, using nothing but engine thrust and pure instinct. You have no idea that in 4 hours and 17 minutes, she is going to save your life. The aircraft pushes back from the gate at exactly 5:45 p.m. The engines spool up with a quiet whine. The 787 is famous for being quiet. Smoother than older aircraft. More comfortable. Safer. The aircraft lifts smoothly into the Tokyo evening sky. The city lights spread out below like a blanket of stars. Then the Pacific Ocean. Dark. Endless. Empty. The flight is perfect. Smooth air. Clear skies. Light tailwinds pushing the aircraft faster toward Los Angeles. Everything is perfect. For exactly 4 hours and 17 minutes. Lieutenant Colonel Akari Hayashi, 38 years old, Japan Air Self-Defense Force, retired. She sits in seat 14A reading a book she has read 5 times before. She is not really reading. She is thinking. Remembering. Trying not to remember. Akari joined the JASDF at 22 years old. Fresh out of university. She studied aerospace engineering. Top of her class. She could have worked for Boeing or Mitsubishi. Designed aircraft instead of flying them. Made more money. Had an easier life. But she wanted to fly. Her father was a pilot. Commercial airlines. He flew 747s across the Pacific for 30 years. He died when Akari was 15. Heart attack in a hotel room in San Francisco. Never came home. She wanted to fly like he did. But she wanted to fly fighters. Fast. Dangerous. Important. The JASDF did not want women pilots. Not in 2008. They said women were too small. Too weak. Could not handle the G-forces. Could not handle the stress. Akari proved them wrong. She was one of only 3 women in her flight training class of 42 pilots. The other 2 women washed out. Failed the physical tests. Failed the flight tests. Could not handle the pressure. Akari finished top of her class. She was selected for F-15J fighters. The JASDF's frontline interceptor. Fast. Powerful. Difficult to fly. She was the first woman ever assigned to fly the F-15J in combat operations. The men in her squadron did not want her. They said she would get someone killed. They said she could not keep up. They said she would quit within 6 months. Akari proved them wrong. She flew for 16 years. 2,200 flight hours. 73 intercept missions against Russian and Chinese aircraft probing Japanese airspace. She never lost a single intercept. Never failed a single mission. Never made a single mistake. Her call sign was silent. Not because she was quiet, though she was. But because she could fly intercepts without radio communication. The other pilots would be chattering on the radio. Calling out positions. Asking for instructions. Making jokes to calm their nerves. Akari flew in silence. Hand signals only. Visual cues only. She could appear in a hostile aircraft's blind spot like a ghost. The Russian pilots called her the Shadow. They could not understand how she always found them first. She was one of the best pilots in the JASDF. Maybe the best. Until March 17, 2021. A training mission over the Sea of Japan. Routine. Boring. She had flown the same mission 100 times before. But this time, a flock of seagulls. In the wrong place at the wrong time. Her F-15J hit the flock at 450 knots. Both engines ingested multiple birds. Compressor stalls. Both engines failed. Emergency restart procedures failed. Then the hydraulics went. The birds had damaged the hydraulic lines. All three hydraulic systems failed within 30 seconds. Her F-15J became a 30,000-pound glider with the aerodynamics of a brick. The flight computer started screaming warnings. Master caution lights. Fire warnings. Hydraulic failure warnings. The stick went dead in her hands. The rudder pedals stopped working. The aircraft started rolling left. Uncontrolled. Spinning toward the ocean. She should have ejected. That is what the manual says. Total hydraulic failure equals immediate ejection. Do not think. Do not try to save the aircraft. Just pull the handle and get out. Akari did not eject. She thought about her father. Dead in a hotel room in San Francisco. Never came home. She thought about the aircraft. A $95 million machine that represented Japan's air defense. She thought about herself. The first woman to fly combat missions in the JASDF. If she ejected, the men would say women cannot handle emergencies. Women panic. Women quit. So she did not quit. She fought. She discovered that if she used differential engine thrust, even with dead engines, she could control the aircraft's roll. Left engine at idle. Right engine at flight idle. The aircraft rolled right. Both engines at flight idle. The aircraft stayed level. She discovered that if she changed the aircraft's pitch by moving her body weight forward and backward in the seat, the center of gravity shifted just enough to control the nose. She fought that aircraft for 47 minutes. 47 minutes of pure instinct and desperation. No radio. No time to talk. Just fighting. Every second expecting the aircraft to snap into an unrecoverable spin and kill her. She lined up for the runway at Komatsu Air Base. No flaps. No landing gear. Too fast. Too steep. Every instinct screaming that she was going to crash and die. She landed on the runway at 220 knots. Wheels up. Belly landing. The aircraft scraped along the concrete for 3,000 feet. Sparks. Fire. Metal screaming. The aircraft stopped. She was alive. Everyone said it was impossible. The JSDF opened an investigation. They said she must have had partial hydraulics. She could not have flown the aircraft with zero hydraulics. Physics said it was impossible. But the flight recorder proved she did it. Zero hydraulic pressure for 47 minutes. She flew that aircraft on pure instinct. They awarded her the Asahi Prize for Distinguished Flying. Japan's highest military aviation honor. The ceremony was classified. Her name never appeared in public records. The award was secret. The men in her squadron never knew. But the trauma was real. After the landing, after the ceremony, after the congratulations, Akari went home to her apartment and did not sleep for 3 days. She kept seeing the ocean rushing up. Kept hearing the alarms. Kept feeling the stick dead in her hands. Kept thinking about how close she came to dying. The nightmares started. Every night. The same dream. The aircraft spinning. The ocean getting closer. The moment of impact that never came because she always woke up screaming. Panic attacks during the day. She would be walking down the street and suddenly her heart would start racing. Her hands would start shaking. She could not breathe. She would have to sit down on the sidewalk until it passed. She hid it from everyone. Told no one. Pilots do not have PTSD. Pilots are strong. Pilots do not break. But she was broken. 6 months after the landing, she resigned her commission. Walked away from the only career she ever wanted. The JASDF tried to make her stay. They offered promotions. Better assignments. Training positions where she would not have to fly. She refused everything. She became a civilian. Took a job as an aviation safety consultant. Analyzing accident reports. Writing safety recommendations. Teaching airline pilots about emergency procedures. The irony was not lost on her. She could not fly anymore. Could not even sit in a cockpit without her hands shaking. But she could teach others how to survive. For 3 years, she lived a quiet civilian life. Small apartment in Tokyo. No friends. No relationships. Just work and books and trying to forget. She flew commercial as a passenger. Always economy class. Always a window seat if she could get one. Always brought a book to avoid conversation. She was trying to forget she was ever a fighter pilot. Trying to forget the feeling of an aircraft trying to kill her. Trying to forget that she was one of maybe 50 pilots in the world who could manually fly an F-15J with no hydraulics and live to tell about it. Until tonight. Until this Boeing 787 starts doing exactly what her F-15J did 3 years ago. Fighting its own control systems. Oscillating violently. On the edge of catastrophic structural failure. And suddenly all those skills she tried to forget, all that training she tried to bury, all that instinct that kept her alive through 73 combat intercepts and 1 impossible emergency landing, it all comes roaring back. In the cockpit of Flight 107, Captain Hiroshi Tanaka is drinking green tea and thinking about his granddaughter's birthday party next week. She is turning 7. He promised to buy her a bicycle. Captain Tanaka is 58 years old. 28,000 flight hours. 32 years with All Nippon Airways. He has never had an incident. Never had an accident. Never had an emergency that was not perfectly handled. He is a perfect pilot. By the book. By the procedures. By the training. Next to him, First Officer Yuki Sato is reviewing the arrival procedures for Los Angeles International Airport. Sato is 34 years old. 6,400 hours. 7 years flying the Boeing 787. He is studying for his captain upgrade. He wants Tanaka's job someday. The flight is perfect. Clear skies. Light tailwinds. Fuel burn better than planned. They will arrive in Los Angeles 20 minutes early. Tokyo Radio, ANA 107, flight level 430, Tanaka says into his microphone. ANA 107, Tokyo Radio, Roger. Contact Oakland Radio on 128.9. 128.9, ANA 107. Good night. They are over the middle of the Pacific Ocean now. 800 miles from the nearest land. Japan is behind them. America is ahead. Below is nothing but dark water for thousands of feet. Sato is reviewing the approach charts. Tanaka is thinking about bicycles. Pink or purple? Does she like pink? Or is that old-fashioned? Everything is perfect. Then at exactly 10:02 p.m. Tokyo time, 4 hours and 17 minutes after takeoff, everything stops being perfect. It starts with a warning chime. Ding. Tanaka looks at the warning panel. Flight control system fault. Yellow light. Not red. Not an emergency. Just a caution. Probably a sensor glitch. The 787 is full of computers. Sometimes the computers see problems that do not exist. Yuki, are you seeing this? Tanaka asks. Sato looks at his instruments. Flight control fault. Primary flight computer. Switch to secondary. This is standard procedure. The 787 has 3 flight control computers. If one fails, the others take over. It happens. Not often, but it happens. Nothing to worry about. Sato presses the button to switch to the secondary flight computer. Secondary engaged. For 3 seconds, everything seems fine. Then the aircraft lurches violently to the left. Not turbulence. Turbulence is random. Chaotic. This is deliberate. Controlled. The ailerons are rolling the aircraft without any input from the pilots. Tanaka grabs the yoke. I did not command that. The aircraft rolls back to the right. Hard. Too hard. Overcorrects. Keeps rolling right. Past level. 20 degrees. 30 degrees. I have lost control. Sato shouts. The yoke is not responding correctly. Tanaka pulls back on the yoke to level the wings. The aircraft pitches up sharply. Too sharply. The nose shoots up. 10 degrees. 20 degrees. The artificial horizon is spinning. He pushes forward on the yoke. The nose drops. Too far. The aircraft pitches down. -10 degrees. -20 degrees. The aircraft is oscillating. Roll left, roll right. Pitch up, pitch down. Like a ship in a storm. But there is no storm. The air outside is perfectly calm. And the oscillations are getting worse. Every 3 seconds, another violent movement. Roll left. Roll right. Pitch up. Pitch down. The frequency is increasing. The amplitude is increasing. The computers are fighting each other. The primary computer is sending one command. The secondary computer is sending a different command. They are both trying to correct errors that the other computer is creating. It is a feedback loop. Each correction makes the problem worse. Disconnect autopilot. Tanaka orders. Already off. We are in manual but it is not responding. Sato's voice is rising. Panic creeping in. Tanaka forces himself to stay calm. He has been flying for 32 years. He has seen everything. Engine failures. Hydraulic failures. Electrical failures. He has handled them all. But he has never seen this. The oscillations are increasing in frequency and amplitude. Every 3 seconds now, violent roll. Violent pitch. The aircraft is being torn apart from the inside. In the cabin behind them, passengers are screaming. You are thrown against your seatbelt. Hard. The force knocks the wind out of you. Left. The aircraft rolls left. You are pushed against the passenger in seat 18B. She is an elderly woman. Japanese. She is screaming. Right. The aircraft rolls right. You are thrown the other way. The passenger in 18D, a young businessman, grabs the armrest so hard his knuckles turn white. Up. The nose pitches up. You are pushed down into your seat. Your stomach drops. Like a roller coaster but worse. Much worse. Down. The nose drops. You feel weightless for a moment. Your tablet flies out of your hands. Hits the ceiling. Falls back down. People are screaming. Children crying. Someone is praying loudly in Japanese. Someone else is crying. Overhead bins pop open. Luggage falls out. A suitcase hits a man in the head. Blood. He slumps forward in his seat. A flight attendant loses her grip on the galley counter. She flies upward. Hits the ceiling hard. Falls back down. Does not move. You look out the window. The wing is flexing. Bending up and down like a tree branch in the wind. You can see the metal bending. Aluminum and carbon fiber bending in ways they should not bend. There is a terrible groaning sound. Metal under stress. The airframe is being torn apart. You think, this is how I die. You think about your family. Your mother. Your father. Your sister. Will they ever know what happened? Will they find the wreckage? Or will the aircraft just disappear into the Pacific Ocean like so many others? You think about the things you never did. The places you never went. The words you never said. You think, I am going to die in seat 18C on All Nippon Airways Flight 107 and nobody will ever know why. The oscillations are getting worse. Faster. Stronger. In the cockpit, Captain Tanaka knows he has maybe 90 seconds before the aircraft tears itself apart. Tanaka has tried everything he knows. He disconnected the autopilot. No change. He switched to the backup flight computer. No change. He tried manual override commands. No change. The 787 is a fly-by-wire aircraft. Every control input goes through computers. The computers interpret the input and move the control surfaces. When the computers malfunction, the pilots cannot control the aircraft. This is not in the manual. This is not in the training. Commercial pilots train for mechanical failures. Engine failures. Hydraulic failures. Electrical failures. They do not train for the flight computer trying to kill everyone. Tanaka looks at Sato. Sato looks back. Both men know they are out of options. The aircraft is going to break apart. In maybe 60 seconds. The wings will snap off. The fuselage will break in half. All 287 people will die. And there is nothing they can do. Unless. Tanaka thinks about something he heard once. A long time ago. At a conference. An American military pilot talking about fly-by-wire systems. Talking about how military pilots train for computer failures. How fighter pilots learn to fly aircraft that do not respond correctly to inputs. Fighter pilots. It is a crazy idea. Insane. Against every regulation. Every procedure. Every protocol in commercial aviation. But Tanaka is out of options. He grabs the PA microphone. His hand is shaking. He takes a breath. In Japanese first. Then in English, is there a fighter pilot on board? Anyone with military flight experience? We need help immediately. The cabin goes silent. The screaming stops. The crying stops. Everyone is staring at the speakers in the ceiling. What kind of emergency requires a fighter pilot? What could be so wrong that the trained commercial pilots cannot handle it? You look around the cabin. Everyone is looking at each other. Confused. Terrified. Then 3 rows ahead, in seat 14A, the quiet woman in the gray cardigan closes her book. Akari hears the words and her blood turns cold. Fighter pilot. She knows exactly what that means. Flight control malfunction. Pilot-induced oscillation. The kind of problem fighter pilots train for. The kind of problem that killed dozens of pilots before they figured out how to fight it. The kind of problem she survived 3 years ago. She feels her heart racing. Her hands shaking. The old familiar panic rising in her chest. She could stay in her seat. Pretend she did not hear. Let someone else deal with it. But there is no one else. She knows this. If there was another fighter pilot on board, they would have stood up already. It is just her. And 287 people who are going to die if she stays in her seat. She closes her book. Takes a breath. Unbuckles her seatbelt. The aircraft lurches violently. Rolls left. Pitches up. Everyone else is thrown against their seatbelts. Akari stands up. Perfect balance. Like she is standing on solid ground. Muscle memory. Fighter pilot training. She has walked on moving carrier decks. On shaking helicopters. On runways during earthquakes. A shaking aircraft is nothing new. She walks forward toward the cockpit. Steady. Calm. Like she is taking a walk in the park. Passengers stare at her. Some grab for her arm. Sit down. It's not safe. She ignores them. The senior flight attendant, Kenji, sees her approaching. He is 52 years old. 28 years with ANA. He has never seen a passenger stand up during severe turbulence. Ma'am. Sit down immediately. Emergency. Akari reaches into her briefcase. Pulls out her military ID card. JASTF. Photo of her in flight suit. Lieutenant Colonel rank insignia. Lieutenant Colonel Akari Hayashi. Japan Air Self-Defense Force, retired. F-15J pilot. 2,200 hours. 73 combat missions. I can help. Kenji stares at the ID. Looks at her face. Looks back at the ID. You are, military. I was. I know unstable aircraft. I have survived this exact situation before. I need to get to the cockpit. Right now. Kenji makes a decision. He has been flying for 28 years. He knows when to follow rules and when to break them. He opens the cockpit door. Captain. We have a fighter pilot. Akari steps into the cockpit. The first thing she sees is the chaos. Instruments spinning. Warning lights flashing. Two pilots fighting controls that will not respond. The second thing she sees is the fear. Captain Tanaka's face is white. His hands are shaking on the yoke. First Officer Sato is sweating. His breathing is fast and shallow. The third thing she feels is the aircraft bucking beneath her feet like a wild animal trying to throw her off. This is exactly what her F-15J did 3 years ago. Captain Tanaka looks at her. Sees a small woman in a gray cardigan. Who are you? Lieutenant Colonel Akari Hayashi, JSDF, retired. F-15J pilot. I have flown unstable aircraft before. What is your situation? Sato answers, his voice shaking, flight control computer malfunction. Every input we make gets processed wrong. It is getting worse. Akari's eyes scan the instruments. Training takes over. Emotion shuts down. She reads the situation in 3 seconds. Airspeed, fluctuating 280 to 340 knots. Too much variation. Dangerous. Altitude, deviating plus or minus 500 feet. The aircraft is climbing and diving without control. Roll angle, plus or minus 45 degrees oscillation. Far beyond safe limits. Frequency, increasing. The oscillations are happening faster. Time to structural failure, approximately 40 seconds. Maybe less. You are in a PIO loop, she says calmly. Her voice is steady. No panic. Just facts. Pilot-induced oscillation. Except there is no pilot inducing it. The computers are fighting themselves. Every input you make is being overcorrected by the flight control computers. That creates more input, which creates more overcorrection. It is a feedback loop. How do we stop it? Tanaka shouts. You break the loop. You confuse the computer's logic by making inputs it does not expect. Rapid, counterintuitive movements that disrupt the algorithm's prediction model. That does not make sense. If we make more inputs, it will get worse. Not if you do it right. Akari's voice is still calm. Like she is teaching a class. Not standing in a dying aircraft at 43,000 feet. Captain, I have done this before. In an F-15J with total hydraulic failure. I know how to fight a computer that is trying to kill you. But you have to trust me completely and do exactly what I say. Every input. Every movement. Perfect timing. No hesitation. Do you trust me? Tanaka looks at this small woman in a gray cardigan and wire-rimmed glasses. She looks like a librarian. Not a fighter pilot. Not someone who has fought dying aircraft and won. But he sees something in her eyes. Absolute confidence. Absolute certainty. The calm of someone who has been to the edge of death and survived. He sees a fighter pilot. I trust you. Tell me what to do. Akari slides into the jump seat behind the pilots. First, acknowledge that this aircraft is trying to kill you. Stop trying to make it fly normally. It will not. It cannot. The computers are broken. Accept that. Tanaka nods. Second, we are going to use a technique called disruption inputs. You are going to make control inputs that feel completely wrong. That go against every instinct you have. The computer will try to correct them. But if we time it right, the corrections will cancel each other out and break the oscillation loop. Sato turns around. That sounds like it will make it worse. It will. For about 3 seconds. Then it will stabilize. Trust me. I have done this at Mach 1.4 in an F-15J. You are doing it at Mach 0.85 in a 787. Much easier. Easier. Relatively. Now listen carefully. When I say roll, you are going to roll left. Even though the aircraft is already rolling left. Maximum aileron deflection. Full left. You are going to make the roll worse on purpose. That will make the roll worse. Yes. That is the point. The computer will try to correct by commanding right aileron. But because you have already commanded full left, the computer's correction will be delayed and reduced. It will create a momentary neutral state. A split second where the inputs cancel out. That is our window. That is when we break the loop. Ready? Tanaka's hands are shaking on the yoke. Ready. Akari watches the instruments. Her eyes track the oscillation pattern. She is counting in her head. Calculating. Predicting. This is what fighter pilots do. Read the aircraft. Predict its movements. Stay ahead of the problem. Roll left, roll right, roll left, now. Now. Roll left. Full deflection. Tanaka rolls the yoke hard to the left. Every instinct screaming at him to stop. This is wrong. This will kill everyone. But he trusts her. The aircraft rolls violently left. 40 degrees. 50 degrees. 60 degrees. 70 degrees. Passengers screaming. Luggage flying. The world outside the cockpit window spinning. Hold it. Akari shouts. Tanaka holds the yoke at full left deflection. His arms shaking with the effort. The flight computer detects the extreme roll. Tries to correct. Commands right aileron. Maximum deflection. But Tanaka is already at full left. The computer's command conflicts with Tanaka's input. For exactly 1.3 seconds, the two inputs cancel each other out. The aircraft stabilizes. Level. Smooth. Like magic. Neutral. Now. Akari commands. Tanaka centers the yoke. The aircraft stays level. The oscillation stops. For 5 beautiful seconds, the aircraft flies smoothly. Like nothing was ever wrong. Then the oscillation starts again. It is coming back. Sato says. I know. We bought 5 seconds. Now we are going to buy more. Pitch input next. When I say pitch up, you are going to pull back even though we are already pitching up. Same principle. Same timing. Ready. Ready. Akari times it again. Watching. Calculating. Predicting. Pitch up. Full aft. Tanaka pulls the yoke back hard. Full aft. The nose shoots up. 20 degrees. 30 degrees. Warning alarms start screaming. Stall warning. Overspeed warning. The computer thinks they are doing everything wrong. Because they are. Hold. Tanaka holds. The aircraft pitches up past 40 degrees. Past 50 degrees. This is insane. They are going to stall. They are going to die. But he trusts her. The computer tries to push the nose down. Commands full down elevator. But Tanaka is already at full aft. The inputs conflict. Cancel out. Another brief moment of stability. Neutral. Tanaka centers the yoke. The nose drops back to level. 10 seconds of smooth flight this time. For the next 4 minutes, Akari calls inputs. Roll left. Roll right. Pitch up. Pitch down. Yaw left. Yaw right. Each time making the oscillation worse for a split second before breaking it. Each time buying a few more seconds of stable flight. It is like fighting a wild animal. Every input feels wrong. Every command goes against 32 years of commercial flying instinct. Tanaka is trained to make smooth inputs. Gentle corrections. Gradual movements. But Akari is teaching him to fight. To make violent, aggressive inputs. To use the computer's own logic against itself. You're right. Full rudder. Tanaka stomps on the right rudder pedal. The aircraft yaws hard right. The nose swings. Passengers thrown sideways. Hold. Neutral. Roll left again. Now. Left yoke. Hard. The world spins. Hold. Neutral. Pitch down. Push forward. Full. Forward yoke. The nose drops. The ocean rushes up in the windscreen. This is a dive. They are diving toward the ocean. Every alarm in the cockpit is screaming. Hold. Neutral. Each command is perfectly timed. Each input disrupts the computer's prediction model just enough to create a moment of stability. And those moments are getting longer. 5 seconds. 10 seconds. 15 seconds. 20 seconds. 30. The oscillations are decreasing in amplitude. The frequency is slowing. The aircraft is starting to obey inputs again. Tanaka is drenched in sweat. His shirt is soaked. His hands ache from gripping the yoke so hard. But he executes every command exactly as Akari calls it. Sato is crying. Tears running down his face. But he is also helping. Calling out readings. Monitoring the instruments. Keeping Tanaka informed. Finally, after 6 counterintuitive inputs that felt like controlled crashes, the oscillation stops completely. The aircraft is stable. Flying smoothly. Like nothing ever happened. Tanaka is breathing hard. Gasping. His heart pounding. Sato is still crying. Relief. Pure relief. Akari is calm. Her voice steady. Good. Very good, Captain. Now disconnect the primary flight computer completely. Switch to alternate law mode. It will give you degraded flight controls but it will not oscillate. Sato's fingers move across the panel. Following her instructions. Flipping switches. Pressing buttons. The aircraft remains stable. You did it, Tanaka breathes. We are flying. We are actually flying. You did it, Captain. I just talked you through it. You executed every input perfectly. You saved everyone on this aircraft. How did you know that would work? Akari's face is blank. Empty. Because I did it before. In an F-15J. Over the Sea of Japan. 47 minutes of fighting a dead aircraft. This was only 4 minutes. Much easier. Tanaka stares at her. Really looks at her for the first time. This small woman in a gray cardigan. Who talks about fighting dying aircraft like it is nothing special. What happened to your F-15? I landed it. Barely. But I landed it. Wheels up. Belly landing. The aircraft was destroyed but I walked away. And then I resigned. Because I never wanted to feel that again. But you just did. For us. Yes. I just did. For you. For the 287 people in the cabin. Because they do not deserve to die because I am afraid. Tanaka reaches out. Shakes her hand. His grip is firm despite the trembling. Thank you, Colonel. You saved 287 lives today. Akari does not respond. She is staring out the cockpit window at the dark Pacific below. Seeing ghosts in the waves. In the cabin, the screaming has stopped. The crying has quieted to soft sobs. People are looking around. Confused. Scared. But alive. The aircraft is flying smoothly now. The wings are no longer flexing. The overhead bins have stopped shaking. The terrible groaning sound is gone. In seat 22D, Yuki Tanaka, no relation to the captain, is holding her 9-year-old daughter Hana. When the shaking started, Yuki held her tight and prayed. She prayed to ancestors she had not thought about in years. She prayed to gods she was not sure existed. She whispered to Hana that everything would be okay, even though she did not believe it. Now the shaking has stopped. They are going to live. Hana asks, Mama, are we okay now? Yes, baby. We are okay. What happened? I do not know. But someone saved us. Who? I do not know. But someone very brave. You are still gripping the armrests in seat 18C. Your knuckles are white. Your heart is pounding so hard you can hear it in your ears. Your shirt is soaked with sweat. The PA clicks on. Captain Tanaka's voice. Shaky but controlled, ladies and gentlemen, this is the captain. We experienced a severe flight control malfunction. The situation has been resolved with the assistance of a passenger who is a former military pilot. We are now stable and safe. We will be diverting to Anchorage, Alaska for a precautionary inspection. We apologize for the extremely frightening experience. You are safe now. A passenger. A former military pilot. You look toward the front of the cabin. The quiet woman from 14A is walking back to her seat. Gray cardigan. Wire-rimmed glasses. She looks completely calm. Like nothing happened. Like she did not just save 287 lives. You want to say something. Thank you. Anything. But she sits down, picks up her book, and opens it to where she left off. Silent. Invisible. A hero who does not want to be seen. Akari sits in 14A and tries to read her book. The words blur. Her hands are shaking. The adrenaline is wearing off. The fear is catching up. She survived again. But surviving is not the same as being okay. The businessman in 14B is staring at her. Were you in the cockpit? Yes. Did you fix the plane? I helped the pilot stabilize it. They did the flying. But you are a pilot? A military pilot? I was. Long time ago. He wants to ask more questions. She can see it in his eyes. But she returns to her book. Conversation over. Except she cannot focus. Her hands will not stop shaking. Her heart will not slow down. The old familiar panic is rising in her chest. She sees the ocean out the window. Dark. Endless. The same ocean where she almost died 3 years ago. The same ocean that still haunts her dreams every single night. The senior flight attendant, Kenji, approaches. He bows slightly. "Excuse me, Colonel Hayashi." "Just Hayashi. I am retired. The captain would like to speak with you after we land. He wants to thank you properly." "That is not necessary. Ma'am, you saved 287 lives. It is very necessary." Akari closes her book. "I did not save anyone. Captain Tanaka executed the inputs. He saved everyone. I just gave advice. Advice that worked. This time." Her voice is soft. Sad. 3 years ago, my advice only saved one life. Mine. And I have been broken ever since. Kenji sees the pain in her eyes. Old wounds. Deep trauma. "Ma'am, have you done this before? What you did in the cockpit?" Akari is quiet for a long moment. "Once. 3 years ago. Different aircraft. Same problem. I survived. Barely." "Were you alone?" "Yes. Just me and a dead aircraft over the ocean. 47 minutes of fighting. 47 minutes of thinking I was going to die. I landed it. But I left part of myself in that ocean. The part that was not afraid. But you helped today. Despite being afraid." "Yes. Because 287 people do not deserve to die because I am scared." Kenji bows slightly. "Thank you, Colonel. You are a true pilot. I am just someone who remembered her training." By the time Flight 107 lands in Anchorage, the story has leaked. Passengers tweeted on the plane's Wi-Fi. Took videos. Posted to social media. The news spread instantly. Fighter pilot saves commercial flight, former military pilot prevents disaster, silent hero in seat 14A. The news is everywhere by the time the aircraft parks at the gate. CNN. BBC. NHK. Al Jazeera. The quiet woman in the gray cardigan is about to become famous whether she wants it or not. Anchorage International Airport. 11:47 p.m. Alaska time. Akari sits in a conference room with NTSB investigators, FBI agents checking for sabotage, Boeing engineers analyzing the malfunction, Captain Tanaka, and First Officer Sato. Lead NTSB investigator Dr. Sarah Mitchell is a woman in her 50s with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense demeanor. She has investigated hundreds of aviation incidents. But she has never seen anything like this. "Ms. Hayashi, can you explain in technical terms what caused the oscillation?" Akari's voice is calm. Clinical. Like she is reading from a textbook. The primary flight control computer's logic algorithm entered a feedback loop. Each pilot input was overcorrected by the computer. That overcorrection was interpreted as a new pilot input, which was also overcorrected. The frequency of oscillations increased until it approached the aircraft's natural structural resonance frequency. If we had not stopped it, the wings would have experienced harmonic stress exceeding their design limits. Structural failure would have occurred within approximately 45 seconds. And your solution? Disrupt the algorithm's prediction model by making inputs it did not expect. Large, rapid, counterintuitive control movements that forced the computer to recalculate its correction parameters. Each disruption broke the feedback loop momentarily. We repeated the disruptions until the oscillation amplitude decreased enough to safely switch to alternate law mode. A Boeing engineer speaks up. Young. Defensive. That should not work. The 787's flight control system is specifically designed to prevent pilot-induced oscillations. Multiple safeguards. Redundant systems. Your technique should have made it worse. Akari looks at him with cold eyes. And yet it happened. Your system failed. Your safeguards failed. Your redundancy failed. I suggest you figure out why instead of telling me my solution should not have worked. It did work. 287 people are alive. That is all that matters. The engineer has no response. Dr. Mitchell continues, Ms. Hayashi, where did you learn this technique? Trial and error. When my F-15J lost all hydraulic systems in 2021, the flight computer tried to compensate using electronic trim and differential engine thrust. It created a similar feedback loop. I had to figure out how to break the loop or die. I chose not to die. That incident is classified. How can we verify your story? Akari pulls out her phone. Shows a photo. Her standing next to an F-15J. In-flight suit. Helmet under one arm. Holding a trophy with Japanese writing. I was awarded the Asahi Prize for Distinguished Flying. The highest military aviation honor in Japan. The citation details are classified. But the award itself is not. Check with JSDF headquarters if you need verification. They will confirm I landed an F-15J with total hydraulic failure. They will confirm it was supposed to be impossible. Dr. Mitchell studies the photo. We will verify. But Ms. Hayashi, I have to ask, why did you resign after such a successful career? You were clearly an exceptional pilot. Akari's face goes blank. Empty. All emotion draining away. Because landing that F-15J destroyed me. I had nightmares for months. Panic attacks during the day. I could not fly anymore without seeing myself crashing. Without feeling the stick dead in my hands. Without hearing the alarms. So I quit. I walked away. I became a civilian. I tried to forget I was ever a pilot. But you helped today. Today I did not have a choice. 287 people were going to die if I stayed in my seat. So I did not stay in my seat. Are you glad you helped? Akari thinks about this. Really thinks. Ask me in a year. After the nightmares start again. After the panic attacks come back. After I spend another 3 years trying to forget what happened tonight. Then I will tell you if I am glad. Dr. Mitchell interviews Captain Tanaka separately. Captain, you made a very unusual decision. You asked for a fighter pilot over the PA system. That is not in any manual or procedure. Why did you do it? Because I knew I was dealing with a problem I was not trained for. Commercial pilots train for mechanical failures. System failures. Weather. We do not train for the aircraft's computer trying to kill us. Fighter pilots train for unstable aircraft. For systems that do not work correctly. For emergencies where you have to fight the aircraft. I needed someone who had survived what I was experiencing. I gambled that there might be a military pilot on board. I got lucky. And Ms. Hayashi's instructions worked. Perfectly. Every input she called, I executed. The aircraft responded exactly as she predicted. She has an understanding of fly-by-wire systems that I have never seen in a commercial pilot. She saved every single person on that aircraft. Do you think her technique should be taught to commercial pilots? Tanaka pauses. Thinks carefully. Yes. Absolutely yes. Because if this happens again and there is no fighter pilot in seat 14A, everyone dies. Every commercial pilot should know how to fight a malfunctioning computer. It should be mandatory training. Press conference. Anchorage Airport. 2:34 a.m. Akari sits at a table with Captain Tanaka and ANA executives. Bright lights. Cameras. Reporters shouting questions. She looks exhausted. Overwhelmed. Like she wants to be anywhere but here. A reporter asks, "Ms. Hayashi, you are being called a hero around the world. How does that feel?" Akari's voice is flat. Uncomfortable. "I am not a hero. Captain Tanaka flew the aircraft. First Officer Sato monitored the systems. The flight attendants kept the passengers calm. I just gave suggestions based on my previous experience. But those suggestions saved 287 lives. This time. 3 years ago, my suggestions only saved one life. My own. And I have been broken ever since. Nightmares. Panic attacks. PTSD. I do not feel like a hero. I feel like someone who got lucky twice." Another reporter, "Will you return to flying? Professionally?" "No. I am a consultant now. I analyze safety. I write reports. I do not fly. I cannot fly. The fear is too strong. But you clearly still have the skills. You could." Akari cuts her off. Skills and ability are not the same as willingness. Yes, I still have the skills. Yes, I could probably still fly a fighter jet if someone put me in one. But I do not want to. I helped today because people were dying. That does not mean I want to do it again. That does not mean I am ready to fly again. Another reporter, "What would you say to other pilots about what happened tonight?" Akari thinks carefully before answering. "I would say, learn your aircraft's alternate modes. Know what to do when computers fail. Trust your instruments but do not trust them blindly. Trust your training but be willing to do things that feel wrong if the situation demands it. And if you ever find yourself in a feedback loop, remember, sometimes you have to make it worse before you can make it better. That is counterintuitive. It goes against every instinct. But it works." She stands up. "That is all I have to say. I am very tired. Thank you." She walks out of the press conference. Ignoring the shouted questions. The camera flashes. The requests for just one more answer. One more photo. One more quote. She walks past the security checkpoint. Past the waiting area. To an empty gate where no one can find her. She sits down in an uncomfortable plastic chair. Puts her head in her hands. And cries. Not relief. Not joy. Just exhaustion. And fear. And the knowledge that she will never be able to forget this night. 3 days later. Boeing issues a statement to the world. "We are investigating the flight control anomaly experienced by All Nippon Airways Flight 107 on November 21, 2024. Preliminary data analysis suggests a rare software conflict in the primary and secondary flight control computers. This conflict created a feedback loop that resulted in pilot-induced oscillation characteristics. We are immediately issuing an emergency airworthiness directive requiring all Boeing 787 operators worldwide to install updated flight control software within 48 hours. The update includes additional safeguards to prevent similar feedback loops. We commend Ms. Akari Hayashi for her extraordinary assistance in this incident. Her knowledge and experience were instrumental in the successful resolution. The safety of passengers is our highest priority. They do not admit fault. But they fix the problem. Within 2 days, every Boeing 787 in the world receives the software update. The problem will never happen again. Probably. Tokyo. Akari's apartment. Small. Neat. Quiet. She is back home. Back to her normal life. Except normal feels impossible now. The nightmares have returned. Just like she predicted. Every night. The same dreams. The F-15J spinning. The ocean rushing up. The alarms screaming. But now there are new elements. The Boeing 787. The passengers screaming. The moment when she thought she might fail. She wakes up every night at 3 a.m. Sweating. Heart racing. Unable to breathe. She cannot go back to sleep. She sits in the dark and remembers. Her phone rings. Captain Tanaka. She considers not answering. But she answers. Hayashi-san, this is Tanaka. I wanted to check on you. Are you okay? I am fine. You do not sound fine. I am as fine as I ever am. Silence on the line. Static. The sound of distance. Hayashi-san, All Nippon Airways wants to offer you a position. Flight safety consultant. Senior position. Good salary. You would help us design new training protocols for flight control malfunctions. You would teach pilots what you taught me. You would save lives. I do not teach. I quit flying for a reason. I know. But 287 people are alive because you did not stay quit when it mattered. Maybe you are meant to do this. Not fly. But teach. Pass on your knowledge so other pilots can survive what we survived. Akari is silent for a long time. She looks at the photograph on her wall. The F-15J. The trophy. The pilot she used to be. If I teach your pilots my techniques, they will be learning how to survive scenarios that should never happen. Scenarios that exist because aircraft manufacturers prioritize automation over pilot control. I will be teaching them to fight computers instead of fixing the computers. Exactly. And until manufacturers change their priorities, pilots need to know what you know. They need to be able to fight when the computers fail. Because computers will fail. Software will have bugs. And when that happens, pilots need to survive. This will give me nightmares. You already have nightmares, Hayashi-san. At least this way, the nightmares mean something. At least this way, you turn your trauma into something useful. Akari closes her eyes. Sees the faces. 287 people. Mothers holding children. Businessmen going home. Students traveling abroad. All alive because she remembered her training. I will think about it. Thank you. And Hayashi-san? You saved my life. And 286 other lives. That is not nothing. That matters. You matter. I know. That is what makes it so hard. She hangs up. Sits in silence. The apartment is too quiet. She can hear her own heartbeat. Maybe Tanaka is right. Maybe teaching is what she should do. Maybe she can turn her broken past into a useful future. Maybe. JSDF Air Base, Komatsu, Japan. 1 week after Flight 107. Akari stands in a hangar looking at her old F-15J. Tail number 82 to 8956. The aircraft she landed with no hydraulics. The aircraft that almost killed her. The aircraft that broke her. It is preserved now. Cleaned. Polished. A museum piece. A testament to the impossible. There is a plaque on the wall beside it. F-15J Eagle, tail number 82 to 8956 landed by Lieutenant Colonel Akari Hayashi March 17, 2021 after catastrophic hydraulic failure over the Sea of Japan. Total loss of all hydraulic systems. Landed using engine thrust vectoring and weight shift control. Flight time from failure to landing, 47 minutes. Landing speed, 220 knots. Wheels up belly landing. Aircraft destroyed. Pilot survived uninjured. A demonstration of skill, courage, and determination. She touches the cold metal fuselage. Remembers every second of that flight. The fear. The desperation. The certainty that she was going to die. Hayashi. She turns. Colonel Sato. Her old squadron commander. He is 60 now. Gray hair. Deep lines around his eyes. But still strong. Still sharp. Colonel Sato. Sir. Heard what you did on that ANA flight. All over the news. You saved 287 people. I helped the pilots, sir. They saved themselves. Do not be modest, Hayashi. You used the same technique you used on this bird. The technique we said was impossible. The technique that only you could execute. Yes, sir. And it worked again. Yes, sir. Colonel Sato walks closer. Looks at the F-15J. This aircraft should have killed you. Everyone said you should have ejected. Everyone said trying to land was suicide. I know, sir. But you landed it anyway. Because you refused to quit. Yes, sir. And now you have saved 287 more people using the same skills. The same refusal to quit. Akari does not respond. She is staring at the aircraft. Seeing ghosts. Maybe you should come back, Hayashi. Teach the new pilots. We need instructors who know how to fight dying aircraft. Who know how to survive the impossible. Akari shakes her head. I cannot fly anymore, sir. Not fighters. The fear is too strong. I sit in the cockpit and my hands shake. My heart races. I cannot breathe. I am broken, sir. I am not asking you to fly. I am asking you to teach. To pass on what you learned when you refused to quit. When you chose to fight instead of giving up. What did I learn, sir? Colonel Sato looks at her. Really looks at her. Sees the trauma. The pain. But also the strength. The determination. The refusal to break completely. You learn that survival is not about the aircraft. It is not about the systems or the computers or the automation. Survival is about the pilot. The human being making decisions. Fighting. Refusing to give up. And you, silent, are one hell of a pilot. Broken or not, you are still one of the best pilots I have ever known. Akari touches the F-15J one more time. Cold metal. Familiar. A reminder of everything she lost and everything she gained. I will teach, sir. But not here. I am teaching commercial pilots now. They need this more than fighter pilots. Fighter pilots train for impossible scenarios. Commercial pilots do not. And when the impossible happens to them, they die. I can change that. Why commercial pilots? Because fighter pilots are warriors. They know how to fight. Commercial pilots are not warriors. They are technicians. They follow procedures. They trust computers. But sometimes the computers fail. Sometimes there are no procedures. Sometimes you have to fight. And nobody teaches them how. Colonel Sato nods slowly. Understanding. Approval. Then do it. Teach them. Make silent mean something again. Make your trauma mean something. Akari walks away from the F-15J. Not running anymore. Not hiding. Using her past instead of being destroyed by it. Call sign silent. The pilot who saved 287 lives with skills she learned while saving herself. The pilot who landed the impossible. Twice. Still broken. Still haunted by nightmares. Still waking up at 3 a.m. with her heart racing and her hands shaking. Still seeing the ocean rushing up. Still hearing the alarms. Still feeling the stick dead in her hands. But no longer hiding. No longer pretending she is not a pilot. She is Lieutenant Colonel Akari Hayashi. JASTF. Retired but not forgotten. Fighter pilot. Survivor. Teacher. Silent. And silent does not quit.